You're listening to a free audio download from Venue Cymru's International Concert Series. Welcome to the January edition of pre-concert interviews from Venue Cymru. Hi, I'm Kristiina Leong. Before a performance with the European Union Chamber Orchestra, Nick Hardisty and I caught up with their leader Jerome Akoka and soloists Nicola Benedetti and Daniela Koch.
Firstly, we asked Nicola how she approaches a work as well known as the Four Seasons.
No matter how familiar it is to listen to, and Four Seasons most definitely is for every musician, especially every violinist, I think when you actually begin to look at the score for the first time, it's always exciting and new, and there is so much imagination in this piece particularly that there's always so much to keep you feeling fresh and interested with the piece. So I'm quite lucky that I haven't actually performed it a huge amount of times. I performed it for the first time maybe 4 years ago, but it was just a one-off concert. And then about a year ago, in a sort of short tour similar to this one, I think it was 6 concerts, and that's pretty much been it with me and the Four Seasons. So it's good. It's very good that I haven't been overplaying the piece and performing it, hundreds and hundreds of times. It keeps it fresh.
Yeah, I know you've done some work with Baroque playing. Has that had an impact on tonight's performance?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean it's Baroque music. So, in actual, I did a recording and a sort of, well, I mean it's not really a project, just studying Baroque playing, not hugely in depth as a lot of other musicians have done and are doing, but I plan to do so in the future. But unfortunately the Baroque bow that I was playing I had to give back recently, so I'm trying to adapt that with a very heavy modern bow that is suited best for Tchaikovsky or something, so it's quite a challenge trying to do it.
I'll find a Baroque bow for you.
Yeah, we need to find another.
Just quick.
I know, it was taken away from me, sort of. I mean, no fault of anybody's. Wasn't mine, but quite recently, and I just didn't have the time to find another one.
Is it difficult to organise your time? Because, I mean, you're learning new music, new repertoire for upcoming concerts, but then you're touring as well at the same time. How do you fit it all into one day? Do you want to go first? Or?
Practice all the time.
Well, it's a daily gymnastics. We have to keep in shape, and also, we are a lot in the bus and I'm traveling. When I travel, I used to take the orchestra score, and just learn from reading them. And you can do a lot of that, kind of mental. But at a point, you have to grab your instrument, so unless it becomes very only intellectual, which is not what we need, I guess. I have the feeling Nicola is practiced. Is such in good shape that she practices a lot.
And likewise with you both.
So maybe you want to say something?
Just the same, that you try to use the time that you have away from your instrument travelling in some useful way, and often, which I find actually very, very difficult to do, but like I'm learning a few other concerti at the moment, and so you have to, I guess, try to be flexible enough to be practicing them sometimes during the day and then be performing another piece at night. But it's very difficult. Ultimately it's always about the performance that you have that evening, but sometimes it is a bit of a balance. So
Yes, it's exactly the same with me. I also have some other upcoming projects where I really have to prepare very well. And so, you just use the time on the bus either for learning or for relaxing, for change. And then when we are here, usually practicing as much as it is possible, so that we are not too tired also in the evening. So this is really difficult to find the exact time, how much to do and what to do, and to do the upcoming projects and the actual concert and rehearse with orchestra. We are all busy, I think, now, but it's okay. So also the concert in the evening is then mostly or always great fun, and so it's okay. It makes up everything.
Now, I read that you about a year ago you took some time out for a focus on your own work.
No, it wasn't really exactly like that. I just decided that I was sort of for a few years I'd been doing far too many concerts and very badly scheduled repertoire. So I was doing a million different pieces within a very short space of time. So I tried to completely address, I guess, my approach to how much I did, what I did, where and with who, and it was really just like a change in my approach, which is still kind of in place now. So it wasn't so much that, but yeah, I did change it so that I have months every year that I'm just going away and having lessons and trying to study on things as much as possible.
We've touched with Nicola on interpretations of Four Seasons being so well known, but similarly you're playing the Bach Flute Suite, which is almost as well known. Particularly if you've had a Nokia telephone, you'll have noticed the last movement will have been your ringtone, probably.
Yeah.
So how have you got on with interpretation?
Yeah, this piece is a really interesting piece because usually it's often with Bach that, of course, you can do many things with different colors of sound and everything, but the difficulty about this piece is also keeping to the text and not doing too much, but also not doing too less. So this is really difficult to find the right balance, how I can do how much. And this is a really interesting thing. And also in this piece, there are different movements, they are kind of dances, and to try to find out the character of these dances is really interesting, and it's an exciting work, and also together with orchestra it's really great fun. And so I really enjoy playing this piece, and it's great fun for me. And I hope for you too.
Yeah, well, in fact, this piece is incredible in many ways, because Bach wrote the piece in a completely French style. It's called ouverture, which is a general term for a suite. In fact, it's a suite of dance, and the ouverture is made. Well, there is a very well-known ouverture à la française, which was more or less invented by Lully, who was the French composer of the court of Louis XIV. And Lully somehow set the form of the ouverture with an allemande in the beginning with dotted rhythm in orchestra. Maybe dotted rhythm, it should be sounding kind of very proud and very solemn. Then the middle part of this ouverture is a fugue, and even there Bach manages to do a proper fugue, of course, because he was a great composer, but in the middle he introduces some kind of Italian concertante parts, which is very unusual in this form of music. So the ouverture, which means the allemande, the fugue, and going back to the allemande, also in a very creative way, because the allemande comes back not in a 4/4 bar, but in a 3/4 bar, which is also something very unusual and interesting. So within the suite, the ouverture has really a special place, and tonight we added some more, a little bit more ornamentation in the French way, because not because I'm French.
Well, the next one's actually for you, Jerome. Leads on from your added ornamentation. Most people here will probably be used to orchestras having a conductor, but since it's a chamber ensemble, instead you're directing. So I wondered if you'd explain your role, particularly in rehearsals in the orchestra.
Well, I don't conduct. I lead from the violin, and the players are trained to that during their studies. Also quartet players don't have a leader. So a chamber orchestra is kind of a big quartet, with leaders for each section, which have to react like a quartet, and the others blend in the group. So I lead from the violin. I look, and then I try to give entrance whatever is free, like my head or my elbow or whatever, my shoulders, and the string musicians, string players are used to that, so they react, and especially this group reacts in an excellent, extraordinary way. I'm very proud of my colleagues.
Similarly, with concertos, we're used to seeing the conductor as kind of the main conduit between the soloist and the rest of the orchestra. But
well, in this case with Nicola, in the Four Seasons, Nicola is doing most of the leading job.
Not all of it. Some.
So you've got the extra.
Yes. So we share it. Let's say.
How does the atmosphere change then when you've got, rather than playing, say, the divertimento that you have later on, which has no soloist? But how do you what's the atmosphere like?
Well, the divertimento, it's a different style. It's It's early work of Mozart, and it still has the post-Baroque and pre-classical rhetoric. How do you say?
Rhetoric.
Yep. Rhetoric. So it's a completely different style. Well, the group changes of attitude when we have to accompany a solist like Nicola or Daniela, and when we play of our own, we try to serve Nicola the best we can, or Daniela, and then we go more independently, let's say.
Do you find then, since you're supposed to be the leader of the ensemble, do you get much more of you can shape the music as a whole rather than having just your own solo part to deal with?
No, I think that's really nice. It's much more communicative, and the rehearsals are, I guess, working together more, and even the performances. I mean, a lot of the Vivaldi is playing together with the solo parts in between. And in a romantic concerto, I would never play, well, almost never play the orchestral tutti. So it's very, very enjoyable. Actually, I'm much more sort of, I wouldn't say relaxed, it's still very taxing, but it's more fun, I guess. The romantic concerto playing is pretty serious. It's like you just have to get up there and concentrate as hard as you can and play as well as you can, and it's not so fun. I love it, of course, very much.
But still, the Four Seasons, maybe you won't say it, but I should say that the Four Seasons for the violin is extremely challenging.
Yeah, it is.
Extremely challenging. It's very descriptive music, but it's this Italian school of violin is.
They're crazy.
It's crazy, and it's really difficult. It's not because everybody knows the piece, and we have a common collective subconscious about it. Yeah, okay, but still, believe me, it's really very difficult.
Are there things you've insisted on, kind of in the shaping of the music during the rehearsals?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, Nicola made her point. You should answer.
No, I mean, hopefully there's nothing that we've sort of totally disagreed on, and that I've said no, I'm having it my way, and that's it. No, I don't think there was any moment like that. But
well, we had to submit.
Okay, I'm learning something. Just
no, it's a joke.
No. I hope it was all amicable. So.
Well, as leader, they're obliged to do as you say.
No, believe me, it's really a pleasure.
What about Daniela? How have you got on with your concerto?
Yeah, very well, of course. Too. Yeah, I always really enjoyed playing with the chamber orchestra, because all of them are reacting a little bit better as if there would be a conductor, because everybody is mainly watching at the conductor usually. And so the soloist's spontaneous inspiration during the concert might not be heard by everybody. So I always really enjoy playing with chamber orchestras, and particularly if all the ideas of the piece are mainly the same, like it is also here with the two of us. So it's really great then playing with such a great group, and it's really flexible, like you already said. So I enjoy it very much.